Thanks for tuning in to our seller interview series. Up today, we've got an advertising and Amazon Associates business for sale in the entertainment niche. Created in March 2018, this business makes an average of $7,678 per month in net profit, and the listing number for this business is 46995. Now, we do these interviews to give potential buyers more information about both the seller and the asset they're looking to purchase. We hope these insights are helpful for you in making a buying decision. We've got the seller with us today to go through the business and cover everything from niche selection to traffic and monetization. Thanks for coming on, Tyler.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, good to have you here. Before we get started, I'm going to go over a quick summary of the business. This business was built in March 2018. This business's average monthly revenue of $8,023 and is producing an average net profit of $7,678, and that's based on a 6-month average. Included in the sale of the business are domain and all site content and files, email list, employee relationships, and YouTube videos. All right, now that we've got the introduction out of the way, let's get started with the interview. So can you tell me a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
Yeah, I've been building online businesses or buying and building online businesses for about 4 years now. I have a finance background before that. I used to be a consultant in the banking industry and found myself building websites in my spare time. I primarily started out in the e-commerce sector, drop shipping, as well as private label, and then recently got into the content business with various different blogs.
Great. Well, how did you get started with this business in particular?
Well, I've always got my ear to the ground, and I've been a member of Empire Flippers for quite some time, so I'm constantly looking at the listings. And this one piqued my interest because the niche is something that interests me. I have experience in the niche, and all those kind of played a part when I was going through the buying process.
Great. So what kind of drew you to this business model in particular, advertising and Amazon Associates?
Yeah, sure. The profit margin, obviously. Come from an e-commerce background, profit margins can be kind of thin.
Hmm.
Where content, your profit margins are very large. And what I mean by that is the revenue you generate, a lot of that turns into profit. Whereas with e-commerce type sites or physical product type sites, that can be kind of the inverse.
Okay, interesting. Well, we'll dig into that a little bit more down the road. I'm very curious to see your take on growing a successful advertising and Amazon Associates business. But before we get there, tell me a little bit about why you're selling this business instead of keeping it and growing it.
Yeah, like so many other people in this industry, I've got a portfolio of websites, and you're constantly battling yourself for time and where to spend it on which website. And this one, I feel closer to the other websites that I have in my portfolio right now. And I recently started a new project over the summer that I'd like to devote a little more time and capital to.
Great. Is there anything that you learned from this business that you would apply to future sites or businesses? What were you learning from building this that just seemed to work for you?
Yeah, I mean, you build a website and you learn something new every day. I feel like you buy a website and it's the same thing. But in terms of this particular website, it'd be just kind of the revenue. I'm constantly looking for different ways to generate revenue from the content. So while the primary source can be from ads and then the secondary source can be from affiliates, there are other ways to generate revenue between just straight out sponsorships, sponsored posts, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the one thing I learned with this content site is that there's a lot of opportunity to increase or diversify revenue.
Hmm. What kind of things have you learned through the process of building this that you wish you'd known when you're starting? And maybe what advice would you give to, other people starting out in content to help them be able to build a successful business?
Yeah, I'd say stay consistent. Just keep creating good quality content, and Google will kind of take care of the rest in terms of rankings. They do a Sometimes it feels like they're going against you, but for the majority of the time, they're rewarding the right content in that, top 10 search engine results. So keep creating good content. And then the other thing is share that content. Find good places on the internet to share those blog posts without spamming, essentially,
Mm.
right? So people are asking questions that your blog content has answers to. So give them an answer and then link back to that blog content. Not only get a boost from that link, in my opinion, that can be debated, I guess, between SEO professionals, but you're also going to drive some traffic from it too.
Okay. You were saying earlier that you had a background in, e-com and drop shipping. So, how did you make the transition between that monetization to, this new monetization? How did you end up learning more about advertising and affiliates? And, would you suggest any tools or any educational sources for those looking to get into it?
Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of been a guy that learns trial by fire.
Hmm.
So just jump in and get your hands dirty. There's a ton of different classes or courses that you can probably take on a lot of those topics. But as soon as you're in that situation, you're learning firsthand day by day. And it seems like there's a new issue or new something pops up that you have to fix. And you're just continuously building out that knowledge.
That's a great answer. I'm curious, was there anything with this business that you tried and didn't quite work? Tell me a little bit about that, what you maybe learned from that in the process.
Yeah, so the site ranks really well in a lot of different keywords. And I thought that I could increase organic traffic if I used a search engine management firm, SEO firm. And I stayed with them for about 4 or 5 months, and it was a failed investment. It just didn't work. And the reason was is I was already ranking so well for a lot of the keywords. Moving up and down between those first three spots on Google really wasn't moving the needle for me.
Hmm.
So that's one failed thing that I learned with this site. I'm not particularly mad about it. It's good to know, but that definitely sticks out.
Yeah, I think that's a good lesson learned. And actually, you're leading me right to where I want to take you next. And I want to talk a little bit more about your traffic. So, where does the majority of your traffic currently come from?
Yeah, the site ranks really well and gets a lot of users from the US, UK, Canada, Australia, Japan, Germany, France, Italy. So a lot of your westernized countries. And that kind of goes along with the niche as well, is just kind of where those users are anyway. But that's where the majority of the traffic's coming from right now.
Okay. And what are you currently doing in terms of marketing?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, 95% of the traffic is organic, which is great. And that's kind of the next step for the site, I think, is building out those additional traffic sources. And that's kind of been what I've been wrapping or trying to wrap my head around the last couple months is how to build those out. And I think the focus right now for me, if I continue with the site or for any new buyer, is to build out the social media platforms. The users for this niche congregate on a couple of the social media platforms, and it'd be very helpful to build those out. I'm not a social media expert, so this is all, again, a new learning curve for me.
Okay. Well, I guess you're kind of touching on my next question in some way, but I want to open up the floor just in case I'm missing anything. If you were to keep the business, what are some ways that you would try to grow it?
Yeah, so just like I said, social media is a big one. I started creating videos for some of the posts, and some of them have actually gotten pretty good traction so far. So that's a encouraging sign that YouTube could be a good channel for us as well. And then the final thing that I think I want to do is possibly create a forum on the website. There's a lot of opinions on this particular niche, and there's a lot of questions as well. And I think given that it is a WordPress site and there's so many forum out of the box plugins that we can use, I think adding a forum and getting that out there could be a big opportunity as well.
Okay. And of course, we always try to get the other side of the story. So, can you tell me a little bit about the biggest risks with the business that a buyer should be aware of?
Yeah, I mean, the risks right now, with any content site, I guess, are penalties from Google. They can change their algorithm at any time and you can be penalized for it, whether it's right or wrong. But that's a risk across the board for any content site. Another risk is longevity of the niche. I think there is longevity, but it may have plateaued at this point. But there's still millions and millions of people that are interested and or using this particular niche.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know that you have a team in place, so I want to get a picture of what your team is doing for you. And can you tell me a little bit about, the work that you're currently doing to maintain the business?
Yeah, so I'm very hands off at this point. That was kind of the goal of last year for me, is to really automate or outsource a lot of the work. So right now I have one content writer that does a great job based in the UK, and all contractors are willing to move on with the new buyer. But I have one contact or contract writer, and I have another team. I believe they're based out of India, but they do a lot of my data entry into the site, and that's about it. I have a guy that does my videos, but that's not a revenue driver at this point. So, I don't know if that should be included or not.
Okay. I'm just curious, do you think that there are particular, say, skills or requirements for anyone not familiar with this niche or business model? So, a buyer who is interested, but maybe don't have your background, what do you think they would need to have in order to buy this business?
Yeah, I mean, just to complete the last question that I guess I kind of missed, you asked me what I do personally. And right now, I'm simply editing articles for my writers and proof checking the data entry that goes into the site. And above that, I check traffic every day and I check revenues and expenses. So, it's only about 4 hours of work a week. So, to answer this question, no, I think this type of site appeals to a lot of people because it is so simple to run. You don't have a computer programming background. You don't have to be a search engine wizard, and you don't need to be a marketing wizard. The site ranks so well for a lot of the keywords that it's kind of on autopilot. It's up to the new buyer to expand on that.
That's a great answer. So, how much support are you offering buyers?
I believe I agreed to a 30-day full support, as well as, I'd be available for calls if needed. And, it worked out for both sides. But yeah, full support for at least 30 days.
Okay. Would you commit to a non-compete?
Yeah, absolutely.
And are you open to an earn-out?
Potentially, yeah. Again, if it's beneficial for both the buyer and the seller, in that case, I'd be interested. I'm always willing to listen to, different offers and different opportunities.
Great. And I'm just curious, you had originally bought this website from Empire Flippers, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, so it looks like you bought this site from us and now you're coming back and you're selling it again. And I guess in a way you're flipping this site. So I'm curious for other people out there interested in flipping, what do you think it takes to be a successful website flipper? And maybe what was the secret sauce for making this site a success?
Yeah, for this particular site, the secret sauce was changing our relationships with our advertisers. The previous owner was aligned with an advertiser that didn't fit the niche, and I went out and found an ad network that fit the niche, and with the same amount or even a little bit less traffic, as you can see in the charts, we're making more revenue. So that was the secret sauce, is finding that ad network that produced higher CPMs, and that is revenue per 1,000 impression. That was the big ticket for us.
Great. Yeah, it's a very good answer. Well, this is my final question here and one of my favorites. Putting yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why do you think this is a business worth buying?
Well, for a couple reasons. First, it is not completely hands off, but literally 4 hours a week. Publishing a couple articles from your writer, checking any work that comes from the data entry team, and then monitoring traffic and revenue. And then second off, there's still an opportunity here for someone that has some social media chops or someone that has any marketing chops. This is a great site because the prior owner and myself have built this site based on 100% organic traffic at this point. And that's impressive, but there's still a huge untapped audience out there that I haven't been able to get in front of yet. And I'm trying to get in front of, but that's the next step.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty excited to see how this all plays out for you, Tyler. Based off of what you're telling me today, you've got a great business in place. Other than everything that we've just talked about, is there anything else you'd like to cover? Anything else you'd like to share about the business?
No, I mean, I think we covered most of it. It's pretty streamlined at this point. If you're interested, put the deposit down and check it out. It's really a great little website.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for giving me some of your time and sharing a little bit more about your business. Again, looking forward to how things play out, and best of luck to you in the process.
Okay, thank you.
If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. And if you want more information, the link will be below the video that'll take you to this marketplace listing. If you're watching this on the listing page and want more information, become a depositor today. When you make the deposit, one of our business analysts will be in contact with you and you'll be given everything you need to review this business. Have a great day.